Hey, Randy Joe here, and welcome back to ROCKTOBER, where throughout the month of October we are going to be listening to different rock albums, and here we are getting close to the end of the month. To close things out, we have a couple more albums to get through, and today I thought it'd be fun to check out a suggestion from somebody down in my comments on a previous video, I believe on Steely Dan's Asia, an album I did a reaction to and thoroughly enjoyed, by the way. And a commenter there asked me to check out Edgar Winter's 1971 record, White Trash. I don't know too much about this. I'm going in completely oblivious to what to expect here. I only know that Edgar Winter, upon some research, is the brother of the late Johnny Winter, who I only became familiar with earlier this year when I did January Blues, because I heard his guitar playing, I believe, with, it might have been Muddy Waters, but I know he also did some other blues records, some other notable blues albums, and he is a fantastic, incredible guitarist. That is, of course, Johnny Winter. Does Edgar Winter live up to the same hype? Well, on the last video I did, Bad Outta Hell by Meatloaf, I heard some of Edgar Winter's playing there through the use of a saxophone, and he blew me away there. So I will say that, going into this, him and his brother are certainly leaving me up to some great expectations, because here we've got Edgar Winter's own solo LP. But with that in mind, I'm pretty stoked to check it out. So let's not dilly-dally. White Trash, the name of the album, 43 minutes, 10 tracks. Kicking it off, we've got Give It Everything You Got. It kicks off hard. Scream it out. A little funky already.
Here's your chance if you wanna dance.
Kind of soulful and funky. Right off the bat, reminded me of Sly and the Family Stone in a sense. Oh, super funky, super soulful. Not the it's not necessarily as rock heavy as I thought it would be, but this is just kicking things off. Maybe things will change, but it seems like we got a large cast of musicians here, but also Mr. Johnny Winter, his brother, is on here as well, and Rick Derringer is quite a classic, musician in himself. So Johnny Winter's on guitar, harmonica, and vocals, alongside his brother Edgar. Organ, piano, Celeste, keyboards, sax, and vocals. Does it all. Talented man. Let's keep it going. So far, I'm just loving these horns. Very well produced and just like a clean listen. Look how balanced everything sounds. Edgar really letting this whole instrumental breathe here. Oh! Edgar. I believe this is Edgar here. Him with that sax, he's bouncing back and forth. Just beautiful. Oh. Oh, a quick rise. Kind of having like a jazzy, funky, casino-esque track. You know, I feel like we're on the night of the town. You know, we're throwing some dice. Or is it die? Not sure. Oh. Incredible opener. Again, very reminiscent of like Sly and the Family Stone. But they would have been around the same time. I don't think Edgar here is trying to copy or anything like that necessarily. Maybe some influence, because Sly did come a few years before this. But still, it has that same kind of simplistic chanting of vocals, the same sort of bare bone lyricism, carried by a beautiful, funky, soulful instrumental that really kind of breathes in its instrumentals in that middle half. But let's go to Fly Away here, the second track. Continuing. Really bringing things down here. Slowing it up. Ooh. Gospel. We are in the church today, boys. Flying away with God, perhaps. Lots of vocals on this album, so who knows who's singing here, but they sound great. That classic soul backup of the ooze. Oh. Raising us up here. This is a beautiful track. I love how different it is from that opener. We're touching on multiple genres so far. Not much to say about this one. It's just a beautiful, soulful, growing gospel. Lyrically, quite simplistic, one might say, when we're literally saying na 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 at this point. But hey, it works. If it's not broke, why fix it? Certainly works with that gospel style coming in. Beautiful track, though. Simplistic but beautiful. Love the gospel. Let's go into Where Would I Be? No idea where any of these tracks are going to go, considering the first two were so different. But funk and soul seem to be a primary aspect of these tracks so far. And this one, still very soulful. Very nice voice too. Not like anything crazy, but I just enjoy the very classic kind of vintage feel to it. Just feels like some good 60s, 70s vocals, you know. Nothing too crazy to say about the sax. It's just he's a beautiful sax player, and I do love when he bursts out that solo. I think what's truly tragic here, let's go this pause. What's truly tragic is how little streams any of these songs have so far. The biggest one is going to be track 8, which we'll get to later. But even still, I mean, this is some great classic soul, funk, some rock elements, of course. But still, so far it's been a great LP with some great just tracks overall. And some of these aren't even hitting 100,000, which, you know, we've seen some albums on this channel that have far surpassed these numbers that are not quite deserving, I might say. Not going to name any albums, but some are certainly more overrated than others, and it would seem like this album so far is underrated. At least, like, deserves more recognition in the soul and funk field. This is a great outro. It's getting kind of rockish and rambunctious. A nice slow fade, you know, it's like this party never stops. They're still partying to this day. What a great outro. Just really fun, very energetic track so far. Let's get it on, which opening with already a bit of a drum solo. Or just some very skittery drums. Has anyone sampled this? This deserves a sample. Oh! In no relation to Marvin Gaye, clearly, but this is a fantastic track. Let's get it on. Ooh. Who is this? On the congas? Ray Barretto on the congas. He's incredible. Oh! Which Winter brother is this, I wonder? Unless it's Derringer. Not too sure. Oh! Bit of a bluesy element too throughout this album, which I definitely want to note. No surprise, given the blues ties that Mr. Johnny Winter has. I'm sure Edgar Winter is in the same circles. You know, loving the blues vibe, loving the funk, loving the soul, loving the blend. And this guitar solo, like, I'm not sure who it is. If you know, put it down below, but it's fantastic. Oh, we're getting a little like bluesy, but also like bluegrass, maybe even boogie woogie as they call it. Just has that vibe coming on strong, which I love. Oh, it's like that nasty sounding harmonica, Mr. Winter, Johnny Winter here. Incredible. So, it's so in your face. It's so... Huh? These vocals are insane. That effect on it. Sounding like that harmonica. It's like they're speaking to each other. Incredible track. Absolutely incredible. That harmonica could have also been, my apologies, Jerry LaCroix? Either him or Winter.
Let's get it on. Yeah.
Kind of bluesy piano there to close it out. Wow. A great blend of blues and soul. Let's go into I've Got News for You. Let's Get It On. Was a great track. I feel like I said everything I had to say about it, though, so let's keep it going. Kind of like dirty blues sound coming through here.
Now you said before we met
Oh,
that your life was awful tame.
this is a blues song if I've ever heard one.
You to a nightclub and the whole band knew
Oh, it's a cover of Mr. Ray Charles, perhaps?
said to your mama, I've got news. Well, you wore a diamond watch.
I love that.
And it come from Uncle Joe.
That classic sort of call and response of blues music. Always liked that. I loved it way back when I did January Blues, which, by the way, if you are just joining this channel and you like blues music, back in January I covered 14 blues albums in full, reacted to them. Go check it out if that sounds interesting to you. But the call and response of blues is very much a staple, and I like it here quite a bit.
When I looked at the inscription,
Reminding me
it
of
said, "Love
Muddy Waters, B.B. King.
from your daddy." Oh, well, let me say that I've got news
Winter,
for you.
save that voice. You're grounded out. Oh. Oh. Did not expect the horns. Oh. Such a smooth decline.
Well, somehow your story don't ring true, little girl. And I've got
Oh.
news. I've got news. I've got
Really?
news. Oh, you think that jive will do, little girl?
Damn. Such a
I've got
raspy.
news. Lord, I've got
Holy hell.
news for you.
How the hell did he have the breath control for that? Jesus. Great. Incredible. Beautiful blues track. God, I love some good old blues. Love how nasty that blues sounded. Just incredible performance too from, I'm gonna assume that is Edgar Winter on the lead vocals, but it could be one of the others here. But they whoever it is, they're coming in strong, and they deliver on some really great blues performances. That's up there with some of the best. So incredibly talented. That belts out too at the end. was just magnificent. Continuing, let's go with Save the Planet, which we do have some lyrics for.
Help me out on this one. Clap your hands. Come on, children. Come on, children.
Love that kind of live audience feel here. Bluesy, soulful, as always. This one getting as soulful as ever, and still gospel. Carrying on from where we were with track 2, which very relevant track even today. Save the planet. That's a message we've had for decades, and it feels even more relevant now because unfortunately our planet is dying. And tying in some religious themes makes all the sense with the theme of the track. Oh. Ooh. I like these horns coming in nice and strong. They're soaring above everything else. Ooh. Really great use of space here. Some nice emphasis. Oh. Only complaint I have about this track is maybe it goes on a bit too long. But boy, does it soar when it soars. Oh, bringing things down here. This track is very lengthy. I think my biggest complaint is it's kind of run its course for me already at 4.5 minutes. Even stylistically switching things up, I'm not feeling that grasped by it at this point. Okay. Trading back vocals. Even this outro feels very extended. A little mixed on that one. I will say I love the gospel influence. I love the soulful. I love the kind of kickoff with that sort of live feel that I had. But even still, biggest complaint, it does run a tad long. I feel like even with all the deviations in the mix, it's not too... It doesn't feel as rewarding in a sense. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Dying to Live, though. I will say Fly Away, in comparison, was a preferred gospel track. But Dying to Live here. Oh, who's singing here? Is this still Edgar? Doesn't sound like him. Hard to tell who's singing on what tracks, considering there's just so many vocal duties throughout this album. But I will say they've all been great. And this one here, don't think it's the same performer, but still very nice. Kind of reminds me of Stevie Wonder in a way. Very kind of depressing kind of meaning and lyrics here, it seems. Is this like a perhaps like an anti-war track? Would make sense with the time, with Nam and such. Could be an anti-war track. A very hopeless feel to this track, especially how stripped back this one is in comparison to the other tracks. It feels very sad and desolate, a nice sense of melancholy throughout it, and lyrically, very dark. A very low-key cut. Very soulful, though. I like it. I like that one. It's very low-key. Very soulful. It's a nice, just stripped away cut that really just delves into a sense of sadness, a sense of melancholy. And, you know, after so many upbeat, gospel, soulful, bluesy tracks, it's nice to bring things down a little bit there. Let's go into Keep Playing That Rock and Roll. I'm expecting this one to be your standard rock and roll fare, which, you know, it would be nice. We've heard so many other genres. Is this one going to go more rock and roll focused, more classic? Oh. Don't you know that I was sitting back in Texas? Already, vocally with the kind of effect played there, where it seems somewhat echoey or reverby, does remind me of some classic rock and roll, like a bar performance or something. You know, I don't know how to describe it. Very live. Is he shouting out? Is he shouting out his brother Johnny? Oh, he is. He literally says it. Very sweet, little touching line there, but his brother would seem. A sign of respect. Oh, we got a solo here. Rick Derringer, I believe, is the solo. That was nice. I don't know if I'd call it commercial necessarily. It certainly has a unique blend that isn't as commercial as a lot of others at the time. Oh. He really belts it out a few times on this album. It still maintains his composure. This one just has like a nice classic rock feel to it. Still, certainly has that twist of soul kind of infused there, but maybe a little bit of funk even, but it still feels like a nice classic rock song on its DNA. I love that one, and most streams on the album, I could see why. Feels like it is one of the more accessible tracks here, maybe more adjusted for a wider audience, one might say, given its rock and roll sound, but I love that classic rock feel. Just comes in strong. Let's go to You Were My Light, which just from the title feels like it's going to be perhaps a more somber piece. Maybe like a more classic blues track, like we heard earlier. Also reminds me of Rolling Stones for some reason. There's something about this album that's giving me a classic Rolling Stones vibe. But like edgier, perhaps? I like this chorus. Sweet, a little sappy. A nice slow soul track. Again, I can't tell who's singing here, but whoever it is, if this is still Edgar Winter on the main vocals, he's very versatile, I gotta say. I'm not sure if it's him. Let me know down below if it is, because credits are a bit confusing here. Oh. He really pushes his vocals at times. He walks a fine line. There's not too much to say about this one. Oh. I feel like it's a fairly standard kind of soul, kind of R&B track here. Nothing too crazy going on, but I do like it. I think it's a nice kind of slower track on the second half of the LP. Only, I believe, 2 tracks that are kind of slow, so it's nice to break up the momentum. Let's go into Good Morning Music, though, to close it out.
Good morning music, lovely day today. I got a lot of things to do, and you can help me on my way.
I like this.
Well, come on now, music, let's take it from the
Very
top.
stripped focus.
We can keep it together.
Just a love for music, always a great topic, done quite well by many musicians, including the great Stevie Wonder.
Have to stop right from the top. Old lady music, we'll sing it all day long. As long as we're together, we can't ever do no
The power of of good music.
Come on now, music. Let's
Fills your soul.
get it on. Now's the time to say it. I can't play it if you're gone. Come on along. Let's sing a song.
Mm. I like this kind of slow descent there. Ooh. Is that a cowbell, perhaps? That's a different direction.
Good morning, music.
And the conga's coming back in with Ray Barretto.
Hey, 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 hey.
Not sure what funky keys these are. Like an organ? Seems so. Kind of just throwing everything into the pot to see what works here.
But we still found time to play. Hey, sweet nighttime music. Let's really get it on. Well, even while we're dreaming, we'll keep singing right along, singing our song.
Is that the Celeste in the background? I'm not too sure. That very gentle, kind of shimmery piano.
Sing a song.
Very pretty finish. A very pretty finish.
Come on along.
Honestly, with a track like that to close things out, feeling like a beautiful ode to music, it only makes sense because the album as a whole really does feel like a gorgeous tribute to a plethora of genres. And I feel like that is my main takeaway here. So let's speak on the whole thing because Good Morning Music felt like a nice outro track, felt like a really sweet, soulful, beautiful tribute to music. And, there's not too much to say about it other than the fact that I do think it is a great closer with its very closing-like finish. It's very almost credits roll-esque tone. But I gotta say that the album as a whole, a great blend of funk, of soul, of rock and roll, of R&B, of I almost forgot blues, of course, coming in strong, with the Winter Brothers being some great blues players, especially Mr. Johnny Winter, like I mentioned earlier. This is a very solid LP. It's kind of funny because we're doing it for Rocktober, but this could have easily just as fit in with the beginning of the year with January Blues or with Soul September I did on this channel, just because of how well blended all the genres are on this LP, especially the soul influences coming in very strong, which, to be honest, looking at this cover and knowing that it's considered a rock album and seeing this cover, I expected something very edgy. I expected something a lot harder and rougher around the edges in its tone, but instead we got a very soulful record, a very funky record that could be just as easily slid up alongside Sly and the Family Stone records, just with how funky and soulful and beautifully full of love and joy it has. Did not expect that when I see this cover. It certainly doesn't give that vibe, but I guess never judge a book by its cover, never judge an album by its cover, because it certainly delivered on something that I had no expectations for. It's a great album, though. It has just a lot of great tracks. It is certainly very underrated. And honestly, I've got nothing too negative to say. I think Save the Planet might go on a little too long for my liking. I thought You Are My Light wasn't personally my favorite. It was a little bit more, I would say, too slow for my liking, too stripped back. Didn't deliver necessarily on some of the other kind of aspects that the other tracks here do. But even still, even with those 2 tracks, nothing overly negative for me to say about this LP. It's very well produced. It's a beautiful album. It's super underrated for sure. Probably the most underrated album I've covered in a while. I mean, I've covered some major rock albums this month, so it's not like I've heard anything super niche. But even still, I feel like this album deserves a lot more recognition in the music scene. Not just necessarily rock, but soul and blues. It should have been recommended to me sooner, considering I've gone so many months this year listening to different genres, and this could have fit in just in there. So the user that suggested the record, I'll throw you up right here. Bam. I just want to shout you out. I don't know your username, but you're here, and I want to say thank you so much for suggesting this record. It is easily one of the most underrated records I've ever heard in a while, and it's greatly appreciated because I will be listening to this one quite a bit. It's a great record. Also very accessible, which I think is important. But that does it for today's video. If you like the video, please hit like, subscribe, follow along to listening to more rock records. We're going to close out the month soon, and we're going to go into our next album. Of course, on the channel will be Mr. Tom Waits' record, Rain Dogs. I've never listened to Rain Dogs. I believe I have it on CD, got it at a thrift store, like a lot of the stuff I've gotten. But I never checked it out actually in full. And I love Tom Waits. I listened to him on this channel before for his album Closing Time, and I loved it then. But I know Rain Dogs is a bit more experimental rock focused, so it'll be fun to check that out. So of course, if you're interested, subscribe to see me react to Rain Dogs. But as always, my name is Rainy Joe. I appreciate you watching, and I'm signing off.